Hello, my name's Olivia. I'm here to recount a tale that still sends shivers down my spine, a tale saturated with terror and heartbreak. It was during the sweltering summer months of 2023, a time typically synonymous with joy and laughter. However, this particular season morphed into a chilling nightmare that continues to lurk in my consciousness. My companions, Mia and Emma, and I had meticulously designed our holiday escapade. The destination we settled on was none other than the vibrant, colorful country of Mexico. The allure of this culturally rich nation was undeniable. The promise of exploring ancient Mayan ruins, basking on golden beaches, and immersing ourselves in the lively fiestas and mouth-watering street played a significant role in our decision. Additionally, the intriguing tales of its historical richness and the compelling folklore surrounding the region acted as a magnetic pull for us. Upon our arrival, we found ourselves nestled in a quaint little town where the locals greeted us with heartfelt warmth and infectious smiles. It was a sight to behold, a community so full of life and color, preparing for their annual summer fiesta. This grand event transformed the otherwise quiet streets into a pulsating spectacle of music, rhythmic dancing, and unbridled joy. The intoxicating aroma of traditional Mexican dishes wafting through the air, the vibrancy of the colorful decorations, and the thrilling anticipation of what was to come added to our joyous experience. Such was our initial experience of Mexico, a joyful prelude that bore no hint of the impending horror that was yet to unfurl. One evening, an affable local invited us to a soiree. We were thrilled, keen to immerse ourselves in the captivating local culture and venerable traditions. The air thrummed with a tangible sense of anticipation and exhilaration. Unbeknownst to us, we were unknowingly treading into a well-set snare. As the veil of night descended, the convivial gathering morphed into something far more ominous. It was then we heard whispers of a local urban legend, a spine-chilling folktale that spoke of a wrathful spirit. This spirit, they said, was a nocturnal wanderer, haunting the town during the festive period. They referred to her as La Llorona, the Weeping Woman, a name muttered with hushed respect and shivers of dread. She was reputed to be a phantom, a grieving mother who had lost her cherubs in a tragedy, now eternally sobbing as she scoured the riverbanks for them. It was said her woeful cries were a portent of doom to those unlucky enough to be nearby or hear her heart-wrenching lamentations. Initially, we dismissed the tale with hearty laughter, brushing it off as a fanciful yarn spun to unsettle naive outsiders. Our skepticism was palpable, the disbelief reflected in our dismissive waves of hands and shared smirks. Yet as the night thickened and the laughter ebbed away, an insidious sense of disquiet began to insinuate itself among us. The once joyous music, which had previously swelled through the air creating a canopy of euphoria, now reverberated unnervingly around us, each note seeming to carry an undertone of impending doom. The locals, who had earlier appeared as warm-hearted friends, now bore an alien, sinister aura. Their smiles seemed forced, their eyes guarded, their behaviors subtly shaded with an inexplicable menace. Our initial dismissal of the local myth seemed foolishly premature as the once dismissed fear began to grow roots, coloring our every thought with an icy touch of dread. Abruptly, the lights flickered, finally surrendering to an unnatural darkness. A chilling wind wove its way through the room, playing an eerie symphony on the loose window panes. The air turned cold and frosty, raising goosebumps on my skin. A mournful wail then began to fill the room, muffled yet audible, originating from a distance before it intensified. It was a lamentation, a misery only La Llorona could muster. Then we heard the whispers, growing louder and more palpable. La Llorona! Terror gripped us, paralyzing our senses. Just when we were wrestling with our fear, chilling splash rang out from the darkness. Propelled by dread, we scrambled towards the sound, our hearts pounding, and there it was, a horrific sight that froze our breaths. Mia's lifeless body floated in the pool, her eyes wide open, staring into the void. The moonlight played an eerie dance on the water's surface, making her face appear distorted and ghastly. Hardly had we absorbed the shock when another scream echoed through the night. We sprinted back toward the house, our breaths ragged. But we were late. Emma lay sprawled on the floor, her face twisted in an expression of sheer terror, life extinguished from her eyes. The sight was disturbingly grotesque, her body crumpled in an unnatural angle, a grotesque testament to her final moments of fear. I was the sole survivor, the only one left. Haunted by fear, loneliness gnawed at me. The cold was my only companion, and dread became my shadow. I cannot fathom how I survived that night, how I wriggled free from the icy grip of the weeping woman, but I did. And I am bound by the guilt, a heavy burden I carry within me every day. There's an unbearable weight of guilt that has come to reside within me. I wish, oh how fervently I wish I could have done something, anything to shield Mia and Emma from the monstrous terror that awaited us that fateful night. But the stark reality is, I was paralyzed, frozen by fear, a helpless onlooker in a ghastly scene that was rapidly evolving before my eyes. I was powerless, merely a pawn in a spine-chilling game of destiny that allowed no room for escape. It felt as if my body had betrayed me, refusing to react. Desperate, I tried pulling them away, tried to scream and warn them, but it was as if I was encased within a soundless bubble. The horror had already unfolded, claimed them, leaving me behind, all alone. Now, I'm left with the terrifying remnants of that horrific night. Images that relentlessly invade my dreams and wakeful hours. The chilling screams of my friends that still echo in my ears. The cold, lifeless bodies that my trembling hands touched. These are the haunting memories that I am cursed to live with. They relentlessly remind me of the cherished friends I lost, the nightmares we were forced to live through, and the guilt that shackles me, an unending torment. I was the sole survivor, but the cost was exorbitant. The guilt, the haunting echoes of that dreadful summer vacation continue to ravage my soul. The terrifying figure of La Llorona, the weeping woman of the legends, her cries still echoing in my nightmares, took away my friends, leaving me with nothing but a heart heavy with sorrow and regret. In the face of imminent doom, a small silver locket handed down from generation to generation in my family became my only hope. It bore a protection charm against La Llorona. Clinging to that piece of family lore, I managed to escape. The locket's symbol, glowing brightly in her face, seemed to repel her, buying me just enough time to horror scene. Tragically, I'm the one who lived to narrate this tale of terror, but the cost was the lives of my friends, the innocence of our youth, and the burden of guilt that I now carry. I'm left to live with the remorse, the agony, and the persistent memory of that dreadful summer vacation. Every day is a struggle as I bear the weight of my survival, burdened by the guilt, haunted by the memories, and a heart forever scarred. The local authorities were summoned, their faces a mask of confusion upon arrival, mirroring my own bafflement. The remnants of the horror that had unfolded was a ghastly sight to endure. Mia and Emma, my closest companions, lay lifeless, their features forever marred by the terror they must have felt in their final moments. The local police conducted a thorough examination, collecting evidence, interrogating me with ceaseless questions. Despite their best efforts, they discovered no indication of foul play, no physical evidence of a struggle. The only source of information, my petrified recounting of the dreadful occurrences of that fateful night. Every attempt to engage the local residents was met with stone-cold silence. The fear that enveloped them was almost tangible, their eyes wide and filled with a terror that mirrored my own. The mere mention of La Llorona sent icy shivers down their spines, resulting in closed doors and curtains, and a distinct refusal to cooperate. The police were confronted with hushed whispers and apprehensive glances, while their inquiries were either or met with ambiguous, unhelpful responses. My frustration intensified with each passing day, my desperation for answers, for a semblance of closure, escalating steadily. There was a need, a thirst to comprehend what had transpired, why it had occurred. The guilt gnawed at my very being, my soul crying out for redemption, for justice for Mia and Emma. Despite the rigorous investigation, we were no closer to solving the mystery of that night, the enigma that it was proving to be as unassailable as before. The investigation had hit a dead end. The locals, shackled by their fear, refused to talk, and the authorities were left without any leads. The sole piece of information, The only potential explanation was a chilling folklore that no one dared to utter. The legend of La Llorona, the weeping woman whose tale had marked our summer vacation with a horrific tragedy. As I set foot in my hometown, a shroud of melancholy draped over me, a burden heavy as the world itself bearing down on my shoulders. The once familiar streets now seemed alien, a reflection of an estranged self. My own bed, which once was a sanctuary, now a stark reminder of the comfort I no longer felt. The humdrum of daily life buzzed around me, a stark contrast to the silence within me. I was a changed soul, bearing an invisible scar that throbbed with every heartbeat. Empty rooms echoed with laughter and joy of a time that now seemed like a distant memory. Sleep offered no solace, as Mia and Emma's faces haunted my dreams, their wails piercing the stillness of the dark. Every night was a dread, nightmares tormenting me relentlessly, causing me to jolt awake, sheets soaked in cold sweat. Days were no less tormenting. The vivid flashbacks constantly threatened to engulf me in their icy grip. The innocent laughter of children, the rhythmic crashing of waves, the whispering wind, they were all now tainted reminders of that unspeakable horror. The chilling cries of La Llorona hung in the air, their echoes still resonating in my ears, the haunting image of Mia and Emma's lifeless bodies forever etched in my mind. The guilt was a constant gnawing presence, every moment awake a stark reminder of my failure to shield them, to comprehend the incomprehensible. The only way out of this abyss, I realized, was to let the world in on my story, to reach out to those who might comprehend the terror of La Llorona. And thus, I turned to YouTube, a platform that promised an audience of millions. My quest began to lay bare the dread of that gruesome summer, to shed light on the terror that claimed the lives of my best friends. I'm not seeking sympathy but answers. If you've ever encountered La Llorona, if you've battled similar demons, I beg you, reach out. Help me decipher this enigma. Help me seek justice for Mia and Emma. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together. Many of you must be wondering, how did I survive that horrific night? The night when my friends fell prey to La Llorona. Today I want to share my story with you, the story of my survival. The night was as black as ink when the lights went out, plunging us into an abyss of fear and uncertainty. I remember the cold seeping into my bones as I hid in a closet, too paralyzed by fear to move. The chilling wails of La Llorona echoed around me, a soundtrack to my worst nightmare playing out in real time. I remember the cold sweat trickling down my face, my heart pounding like a drum against my chest, my breaths shallow and shaky. I clung onto my sanity, praying for the night to end, praying for the dawn to break. And it did. The first rays of the sun pierced through the darkness, illuminating the horrifying aftermath. I stepped out of my hiding place, my legs trembling, my heart heavy with dread. The sight that met my eyes was beyond comprehension. Mia and Emma, my best friends, lay lifeless. The air still carried the remnants of their screams, the walls echoed with their laughter, now a ghost of a memory. I survived, but at what cost? I lost my friends. I lost a part of myself that night. The girl who hid in that closet was not the same girl who stepped out when dawn broke. I emerged stronger yet broken, a survivor bearing the scars of a horrific past. And today, I share this story with you, hoping to find answers, hoping to find justice for Mia and Emma. Because survival is not just about living, it's about living with a purpose. And my purpose is clear: to unravel the mystery of La Llorona and ensure no one else suffers the same fate as my friends.